have to reschedule my exam because due to COVID, I was going to do the INBDE part 1, then I had to change to the INBDE. So that's why I took that long studies due to COVID. I think someone is, okay, perfect. So yeah, I studied for every day for 4 hours a day approximately. Sometimes I took a day off, like a Sunday off, but not every Sunday. But that depends entirely on your availability. I had to work while I studied, so it was very difficult. But for example, if you're going to dedicate entirely to study, maybe you can study a little bit more on the day and maybe have a day off permanently. As I said, it depends entirely, but here I give you some apps and books I recommend. The first 8 books are excellent. I am a very visual person, so if you're a visual person, these books, you love them. Mosby, I like the Mosby books, but the thing is, depending on your study patterns, for example, Mosby did not work for me. I think there's a lot of information and you can lose a lot of time on details that do not matter for the test. So for me, the INBDE part 1 and part 2 from first aid are the best books out there, but it depends entirely on you. And the apps, for example, to study human anatomy, these apps are excellent, the first 2. And to study practice questions, the Crack INBDE is excellent, and the Dental Mastery app is also excellent. Okay, so the price, this is the exact price, okay, for international or foreign trained dentists. So give me a second. Let's do the math here. Okay, so it's how I told you. The price is $985 for foreign trained dentists, since they apply a processing fee. If you have studied in the US, meaning none of us, you only have to pay $700. And another important thing, for example, if you have scheduled your test for a certain day or 2 days, because it's a 2-day exam, you can reschedule the test. You'll have a fee, a reschedule fee, but you can reschedule it. If you reschedule it 30 days or more before the test date that you have, it will be $25. If you reschedule it 5 to 29 days before, it would be $60. If you schedule it 1 to 4 days before scheduled test, it would be $150. And if you fail to appear or appear more than 30 minutes after the scheduled start time, they won't refund you with what you paid for the test. Another important thing, if you fail the test, you can do the test again, but there's something very important that you need to know. The results, whether you passed or not, they'll give you the results in 2 to 3 weeks, and it will be on through your dent pin. That's why the dent pin is so important, through your username and password. So that's why you have to say that very fondly. And if you fail the exam, the only thing you have to do is wait for 90 days between when you found out you failed the exam, and 90 days after, you can pay again the same quantity, meaning $985, and schedule your test again. That's basically it. You don't have to pay for a failing fee. You'll only have to wait 90 days. Something very important to know about also is the 5 years, 5 attempts policy. What does that mean? For example, if you attempted the test 1 time and you failed, okay, what happens? You have to pass the exam either on 5 attempts, okay? For example, I attempted 1 time. I have to pass on any of the 5 attempts that are consequential. I don't know if that's how you say it, but you have to pass it in 5 attempts, basically, or in 5 years, which means, for example, if I did the test today, and today is 2021, 2022, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have until 2026 to present or to pass the test, okay? Or whichever comes first, the 5 years or the 5 attempts. Okay, so that's basically the thing about failing the test or passing the test. There's no correct time on which when to start studying for the test, or the only thing that you can start doing, okay, now that you haven't graduated from school or dental school, is start studying for the test. If you are near, you can't do the test or start the documentation process and everything you have to do applying for the programs, unless you have your diploma and your certificates and your grades and et cetera, et cetera. So my personal recommendation, first graduate, have your documents in check, and start studying for the test. And I know it's a lot of information. I know right now maybe you're like, oh my God, this is so much information. But once you start doing the process, or you jump in that train, you'll see that everything will go on very smoothly. So the most important thing is to be informed. And well, that's basically it. Thank you. And I think Arsal, if you're anywhere here, I think you are. I hope you liked the presentation, that you were very informed about this whole process. And oh, another thing, thank you for reminding me. The scores, the INBDE does not expire. The pass does not expire unless a specific state or board tells you that you have to repeat it. But if you pass the INBDE, in theory, you will never have to pass it or do it again.
So, Dr. Amanda, thank you so much for your information. They were all great and useful for us. I hope everyone enjoyed that. So, okay, I want to remind you something about our quiz. Before starting the Q&A session, this is an important announcement, so please listen carefully. A flyer has been sent to you via email. It has the link, the quiz session. Please open up right now, and on your phone or laptop, we will start the quiz in 30 minutes. Certificate of participation will be given to only those who will pass the quiz and fill the feedback form. So this is important. Please don't forget. If you don't fill, you can get certificate. The quiz will be open for 20 minutes after the Q&A session. So moving on the Q&A session, Arsal, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Yarin, you can read the questions from the chat box and you can ask the speaker.
Okay, first one. First aid will include test examples or just explanation. Say someone.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Sorry.
Okay, it's just get lost. I will read something else. Mako Yokomoya says from Japan, how much do you think the academic grades are important? Also, can postgraduate education be any advantage in applying to the revalidation programs?
Sorry, but the audio cuts off a little bit. I only understood the part of the first part, but I didn't hear the last part.
Is there something? Do you hear my voice?
Yes, but it cuts off a little bit.
Okay.
Dr. Mada, I hear it properly. Can you just check your connection?
Sorry?
Her voice is clear. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I hear you properly.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay.
So there is Mako asking from Japan, how much do you think that, let me see, it's going back. The question is, how much do you think the academic grades are important? Also, can postgraduate education be an advantage in applying to the revalidation program?
Okay. So the academic grades or GPA is very important, but if you don't have, for example, if you weren't like a grade or an A+ student in your school while you were in dental school, it's not as bad as you think. The thing is, I would focus a lot more in bettering my CV, meaning my curriculum. So for example, doing volunteering work, research, working a lot in my own country, seeking for opportunities to work here in the United States. They like that you're interested in their system. So that's what I personally would do. And having a postgraduate program can help you get into programs, but there's not a perfect formula to get into a program. Meaning that, for example, if maybe you did 2 postgraduate programs in your country and you have a perfect CV and a perfect GPA, maybe, for example, I didn't do any postgraduate programs, I had a decent CV, and in the interview moment, I was better than I gave a better interview than you. So maybe I got in and you didn't. So there's not a perfect formula, but if you can help yourself doing as much as you can, obviously that's way better. But that won't assure you that you'll get into the programs because there's no perfect formula. Hope that helped.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Hello, I'm Dr. Shanti. Actually, I wanted to ask that I have completed my MPH after BDS from Pakistan. So can I apply for PhD through INBD? Means, is it necessary to give this exam for any postgraduate program in USA?
Yeah, so thank you for your question. For most of the programs, this is now a requisite to apply for the programs, the INBDE, but there are a few programs, like very few, that don't ask for the INBDE. The thing is that every cycle, which means the cycle of application for the programs, the postgraduate programs cycle has not started. It starts in May. So I recommend you that they haven't like updated what they will ask for each program, postgraduate program. They have done that for the advanced standing program. So with property, I can tell you that all of them ask for the INBDE, but the postgraduate programs have not updated their requisites. So I would recommend you that in May, you check the requisites and see if all of the programs ask for the INBDE. But my guess would be that most of them will ask for the INBDE too, since it's now only one exam. They did that before because there were 2 exams. So maybe they asked for one and then you can do the other one while you are doing the program. But since now it's only one program, I think it's going to be a requisite for all the programs, pre-graduate and postgraduate.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Manda, for answering the question. We will move on to the next question. Noor is asking from Palestine, is there any equivalence diploma process before starting these steps, since dental schools from one country to another differ?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Can you maybe send the question through the chat so I can read it?
Yeah, Noor, please send your question once again. We cannot understand this question. So I'll move on to the next question. Rahbar is asking, I would like to know more about first aid book. They are just examples. He just want to know about the books that we study in the INDB exam.
Okay, so what do you want to know about the books exactly? About the first aid book?
Yeah, the first aid book. Maybe answer this thing. I don't know. The participants, please make sure that you write your questions much clearer so that Dr. Manda can understand it. Okay. You can tell anything about the first aid book, or I'll move on to the next question. Dr. Wanda, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Tuba is asking from Pakistan, are there any scholarships available in dental schools in US? If yes, what is the criteria?
Wow, the thing is, that is a very specific question, and it depends entirely on the university or the program you're applying to. For example, a thing about if you're an international dentist, it's very important the migration status. So, for example, if you are an international dentist, you can ask for example, loans, but they have to be private loans. And you have to have a co-signer, which is they have to be American or resident or a U.S. citizen that can help you with assuring the banks that you're going to pay for the loan, for example. And another thing is that if you are a U.S. citizen or resident, you can ask for federal loans as well as private loans. And there are scholarships. I think I'm not like 100% aware of the scholarships, 100%. But you have to look, there are various programs about scholarships, and I know there are various programs also, for example, if you are from your country, that they can give you scholarships to study abroad and as an interchange, I think that's how it's said, you have to like live in your country and be a dentist in your country, but I'm not 100% aware of the scholarships available in all the United States. So you have to look for that specifically according to your needs and interests.
Okay. We'll move on to the next question. Yasmin from Sudan is asking, if I do a postgraduate program such as a GRP or AEGD, will I be able to practice dentistry with those, or will I have to complete an ASP first?
I didn't understand the last part. I understood the part about GPR and AEGD, but I didn't hear well the last part.
Will I be able to practice dentistry with those, or will I have to complete an ASP first?
Sorry, but I didn't understand. Well, it's easier for me if you write the question and read, so I can read it too. I don't know what's happening with the audio, that it cuts off in certain points, so I don't hear
just answer the first part and I'll fix the audio.
Which is the first part. If they do a GPR or AEGD, will they be able to practice what? I didn't understand the other part. Okay, here. Like postgraduate programs such as a GPR or AEGD, will I be able to practice dentistry with those, or will I be able to complete? Yeah, of course. You will be able to practice general dentistry with those. The thing you'll have to look for and be on the look for is where you can be a dentist. It depends on the state. So, for example, if you want to be in Florida or in New York, they accept, for example, GPRs and AEGDs. So you can be a dentist in those states. The only difference between legally between an advanced standing program and the other programs is that with the advanced standing program, you'll get a degree, meaning a DDS or DMD, and you'll be able to practice in most of the states in the United States.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Can passing the INBDE in the US transfer to a Canadian university, for example, getting a residency match in Canada?
Okay, yeah, you can pass the INBDE or you can do the Canada exams, either way.
Okay.
Canadian exams. But the doctor that comes next is in charge of the Canada part, right? He's going to talk about.
Yeah, the last one is the part.
Specifically what you need if you are in the US or Canada.
Okay, Yasmin is asking, what is the best and the most important thing I can do for this process as a first-year student?
So if you're a first-year student in your dental school, the best advice I can give you is take a deep breath. You're still starting your dental school. There's a long way to go before you even think about going to revalidate. You first have to revalidate, you first have to have a valid degree. So you have to graduate from dental school. So if you're in first year, be very informed. Always check for new information. If there's new information on the ADA website, if something has changed from now to when you graduate. And when you're on your last dental school year, then I would start preparing for the INBDE and start applying to programs and getting your documentation in check. But for now, take a deep breath, enjoy the ride of dental school, and then you'll see. I don't hear.
I'm sorry, I was muted. So the Geeta is asking from Iran, is there possibility to be accepted in the OMFS program directly as an international dentist?
Okay, this is a very, OMFS is a very, it's like another world. It's like the most difficult postgraduate program to get into. There are ways to get into the OMFS program as an international dentist, which does not include going to any of the programs first, but it's very difficult. My personal recommendation would be to, or the general prerequisite for most of the OMFS programs is to do an advanced standing program first. You will have to have a DDS or DMD in most of the programs to apply. You also have to do the exam that's called CBSE, which is similar to a step, the exams for medical school to revalidate medicine. It's very similar to that since OMFS is very medically oriented. And you also have to have the INBDE. So you have to have more requisites that you would have to have for certain postgraduate programs. It's possible, but it's very, very, very difficult to get into not having an advanced standing program before.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I will read Nur Al-Hayek from Palestine. She says, is there an equivalence diploma process before starting the steps? Since dental schools from one country to another differ.
Okay, I didn't understand well the first part. If you can repeat, sorry.
Of course. Is there an equivalence diploma process before starting the steps?
An equivalence?
Yes.
Okay, well, I can answer this way. It's the way I understand the question. The steps that I explained in the first part are the same for every dental school in any part of the world. Meaning if you're a foreign trained dentist from Pakistan, Iran, India, Latin America, Asia, it doesn't matter. You have to do the same steps to revalidate in the US. The only thing or the thing that varies the most are the documents that you need to send to the ECE. That entirely depends on which country you are from. That's the thing that varies the most, but that's basically, that helps.
Okay. Okay, the next one is from Tuba Zahid Khan. Can you please tell us about scholarships available for foreign students?
Yeah, I answered that previously. You would have to search for specific on the internet, specifically, as I said before.
Okay, another one. Nejud Havari asks, can TOEFL be replaced by IADS?
It depends on the university, but as I said, for example, as ECE and WES, which are both companies for the documentation process, it's the same for TOEFL. So I would recommend doing the TOEFL. Why? Because it's accepted by most or all the universities, basically. So when you apply to the programs, my personal recommendation is check the boxes of the majority or most of the universities, meaning if all of them accept ECE, then do ECE. If all of them accept the TOEFL, then do the TOEFL. So that's my personal recommendation. Obviously, you can do whichever, but then you limit the probabilities or possibilities to apply to certain programs. So that's like the most intelligent thing to do. I would do that.
Okay, thank you. The next one, Omar Rabashet, he says, does this DANPIN have a certain time period before it expires after it is made?
The ECE or what?
I don't know. He didn't say anything about that. Just does this DANPIN, he says. Does this DANPIN have a certain time period before it expires after it is made? Just this. We can pass.
The first part cuts off.
Okay. Does this DANPIN have a certain time period?
Okay. No, the DANPIN does not expire. The things that expire are the TOEFL, which expires in 2 years since you have done it. The INBDE does not expire unless, for example, if you have done it and in 15 years you want to move to California, and maybe in California the rules have changed, maybe you'll have to do the INBDE, but in general the INBDE does not expire. Once you have passed it, that's it. And the DANPIN lasts basically forever, so it doesn't expire, it doesn't cost anything, it's totally free. If you want, you can do it like right now. I would recommend doing it right now if you're thinking about doing the documentation process and everything. The most important thing about the DANPIN is doing it before you send the documentation so they can match your identity with your documentation.
Okay. Shanti Kohan says, can you please tell me that the INBDE quiz you sent? Oh, no, this is not for you. Sorry. Okay. Gita Kadri from Iran says, if we want to be considered ADA accredited dental school graduate, is AEGD accepted or only the ASP is accepted?
Okay, so this is a very good question. And it's very important for you guys to have this very clear. So all the programs I just talked about are ADA accredited, which means that when you, for example, if you apply through ADEA Pass or ADEA Capid, which are the platforms to apply to most of these programs, if they are in the platform, they are ADA accredited. So for example, it doesn't matter if it's an AEGD, an ASP, a GPR, or specialty education programs, they're all accredited if they are in the platform. So it doesn't matter what type of program. The only thing that matters if you can revalidate with that, and it entirely depends on the goals you have. So for example, if you want a certain state and you want a certain program, it doesn't matter because it's ADA accredited, but you have to have in mind what your goals are. So they are accredited.
Okay. Thank you. And the next question from Mariam Lahlu is, what would be your advice to plan the financial part of the postgraduate program, job, scholarship, loans? And is it possible to take the INDED before graduating from your home country?
Before graduating, yeah. So there's like an exception to do the INBDE while you are in dental school. But what happens, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, obviously, this is a process very different to everyone. Don't rush it. Why? Because if you rush it and you fail the exam, the schools will know that you have failed the exam 1, 2, 3 times or whatever. So there's no rush in presenting or doing the exam. So while you are in dental school, you have a lot of responsibilities, and another thing, a lot of things to do other than the exam. So my recommendation is to focus entirely on the exam, meaning hopefully you've been graduated, but there is a way. You'll have to ask for the dean of your school to sign a paper, which is in the ADA website, to sign for a paper to authorize you to present the INBDE. But it's not very conventional because you have to do the documentation process, meaning that you would have to graduate, for example, have your diploma, your certificate, your grades, your average, your GPA, and you won't have that until you graduate. So it's a very weird thing. I haven't heard of anyone that has done it that way, but it's a possibility. But my opinion, don't rush it.
Okay, Tuba Zahid is asking, is it difficult to get into dental school as a foreign student after passing INBDE?
This is a very subjective question. I'm not part of the boards of accepting students in the US. But my advice to you is you have to change the mindset when you apply to these programs, because one thing I've experienced sometimes is that you start comparing to other candidates and you start saying like, oh, well, but I don't have this and I don't have this, and this person has done research and whatever. And maybe the programs you're applying to are looking for a candidate like you and maybe not like other people. So don't be discouraged if you don't have like the perfect CV or the perfect GPA. I would work on to have better possibilities working on my resume. So for example, if you love research, for example, be coherent with that on your curriculum. For example, if you love research, try to emphasize that on your resume and try doing that activity a lot. So when you get interviewed or called for interviews, you'll have a lot to talk about in that aspect. So try to be coherent as what you are as a person and as a dentist and what you're portraying for applying to the programs. And if you fail applying to the programs, meaning that no program calls you back, there's nothing wrong with that. Apply the next cycle. Don't give up. Better your resume. The thing is that it's a very positive thing because maybe if you apply to some programs, some of them, while you are interviewing or whatever, they will tell you how to better your curriculum, or maybe we need you to have more experience working in your country or in the US. So we'll see you next time. So you know exactly what you have to do to better your possibilities. So, but it's a very subjective process in a way. There's no perfect formula, as I said. So it really depends on the cycle. It depends on the candidates that are applying to the programs. It depends on how are your interviewing skills and a lot of things. So if you set your mind to it, you can do it.
Okay. What is the passing rate of the exam?
For the INBDE, it's still a very new exam, so there are like no registries of the exam still, or none that I am aware of. So there's not like a passing rate till this day that I know of this exam. It's very new exam. I did it in October. It was out on August, so it hasn't been like not even a year since the date that they started the exam. So you'll have to check on that, I think, further down the road.
Okay. Angga from Indonesia is asking, if I am already a prosthodontist in my country, how can I be a prosthodontist in the US? Do I need to attend postgraduate program all over again?
Okay, so to be an official or legal prosthodontist in the US, yes, you would have to do a postgraduate program on prosthodontics again. But one thing that's very interesting about the United States is that as general dentists, you can do basically legally almost anything except orthodontic surgery, like maxillofacial surgery, and orthodontics, the part of metallic braces, basically, or braces. But Invisalign you can do as well. Obviously, this is a very ethical or unethical thing in the sense that it's on your professional responsibility to know what you are capable or not of doing. But legally, as a dentist, you can do almost everything. So for example, my personal recommendation, if you don't want to invest in a postgraduate program again and do the program again, maybe you can do a general dentistry program. And as a general dentist, you can apply your knowledge as a prosthodontics specialist from your country. The only thing is you cannot say as a public way or do like publicity and portray yourself as a prosthodontist, because legally in the States you are not a prosthodontist. You are a general dentist, and you can do procedures that include prosthodontic procedures. That would be my personal recommendation.
Okay. Umar from Jordan is asking, are there any helpful tips on building a good CV?
Okay, yeah. So the CV for me is the most important thing about applying to this program. Obviously, it's a mix of various things. But since the test doesn't have an official score, what they're going to see the most is your curriculum. So there are a few ways you can make your curriculum better. So if you're still a dental student, I would focus on doing extracurricular activities. For example, being part of certain groups or interest groups on areas of dentistry that you like. Or if you, for example, like volunteering, I would recommend being very involved in volunteering, maybe creating a group of volunteering on, for example, the less fortunate, or, for example, in your own university, or tutoring or mentoring different students in your own school. That's a very good way also of adding experience. And another thing that's very important for them is research. If you're still a dental student, you can ask around. Maybe if you have professors that you're very fond of and they are doing investigations or research, you can approach them very respectfully and say, Professor, I am very interested in this area you're researching about. I would love to be a part of it. Please tell me, how can I help? How can I be a part of this? And also there are schools that have research groups on certain areas. For example, my school had that. So I would recommend to investigate about that if your school has that. Also, for example, the work experience is also essential. It doesn't matter if it's in your own country. For example, some universities ask to have work experience of a minimum of 1 year. So that's why I'm telling you also, like, don't rush the process, because ideally they're looking for candidates who have dexterity and are have very practical abilities, since they want to accept candidates who already know a lot. They don't want to explain everything all over again. So they want to have candidates that are very wholesome and they have practiced in their country or in the US. If you don't have a immigration status or a legal status of resident or US citizen, and you can't work in the US, I would recommend doing shadowing, which means that you can do that. I think you can help them, your son and Arsal, in that matter, because as a dental student, you can ask for, depending on your school, you can ask for shadowing opportunities in the US in dental schools or in hospitals or with a doctor that works here, and you don't necessarily need a working visa or anything like that, or a working visa. You just need a traveling visa as a foreign person. You don't need like a legal status to work here. So you can do shadowing, which is basically going to the hospital or going to that dental school and just watching what they do, learning a lot. And you can have good recommendation letters or letters of recommendation that are very important also. So if you can't work in the US, that's a thing I would do. And also a very important thing is that due to COVID, you can volunteer online, which is a very awesome thing to do. So you can research volunteering programs online in the US. And I'm pretty sure you can help like tutoring or mentoring students. It doesn't have to be in dentistry. It can be in any area of your interest. Obviously, it's better if it's dentistry, but that's considered volunteering as well.
Okay, Aruj Fatma from Pakistan is asking, after completing my graduation in my country, can I directly apply for post-graduation in US, or do I have to pass ASP before that?
The INBDE, they have to pass the INBDE or ASP before. Yeah. What did they say? ASP or INBDE?
ASP.
Okay, no, you can directly apply to postgraduate programs directly. You don't need to do the ASP necessarily. But for example, if you're applying to OMFS, you need to do the ASP for most of the programs. You're welcome, Omar.
Okay, Mariam is asking, what would be your advice to plan the financial part of the postgraduate program, job, scholarship, loans?
Well, I think that I already, the scholarship part, I already answered twice.
Already answered, okay. We'll move on to the next one.
But financially, what I said about the private loans, some countries offer private loans for their students who go to study abroad. I know that's a thing. And also you can ask for a private loan here in the US only if you have a family member or a friend that is a US citizen or resident that has a credit score. And they have to act as a co-signer for that loan. So you can ask for a private loan, but those are like the important things to have in mind.
Okay. Now, Heather is asking, can a US citizen who is a foreign dentist graduate can further do post-graduation in oral and maxillofacial surgery?
Sorry, that was really quick and I didn't understand the full question. Okay. Is it here?
Can a US citizen who is a foreign dentist graduate can further do post-graduation in oral maxillofacial surgery?
Yes, and I can speak from personal experience because I am a US citizen, but I am a foreign trained dentist, just like you asked. So the thing is that some of the programs, as I said in the first part, only accept candidates who are US citizens or residents. All of the programs accept those candidates. There are a lot of programs actually that accept foreign trained dentists who are not US citizens or residents. But something very particular is that for OMFS, most of the programs, the two requisites are you have to be a US citizen or resident, and you have to have IADS in the US, meaning you have to do the ASP or Advanced Standing Program. And that's very particular of OMFS. I don't know why. I assume it's because part of the residency is paid for. They pay you a salary, but it's the most difficult program to get into.
Okay, Dr. Amanda, we just have 2 minutes left, and I don't think I'll be able to pick up any question. If you just want to summarize anything in just 1 minute, or you just want to say anything, you can say that, and after that we will start the quiz.
Okay, so thank you so much for being here. As I said, there are a lot of ways to get to the same goal. So maybe, for example, not everything, this is like the general way to get to a goal, but there are a few goals, a few ways you can get to the same goal. The key is to be very informed and to be very organized and to have timing into consideration. And don't pay attention to anyone who tells you that you can do it or it's too difficult. It has been done by many people. The only thing you have to have in mind is that you have to want it very bad. So be very organized and very positive. Work for your goals, for your CV, for your GPA, for the INBDE. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me at any of my social media and I will gladly answer. And thank you for the invitation, Arsal, and thank you for the invitation, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amanda, for your time, and this whole lecture was great. The questions from the participants were awesome, and I hope we can do further projects and collaborations as well.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you for your input.
Have a nice day.
Okay.
Thank you, Yaren.
So, okay, everyone, I have sent the link to the quiz in the chat box, and it's you can open it and can answer the questions. You just have 20 minutes for this. Make sure to pass the quiz because it's the criteria to get the IADS certificate. There are two things that you have to do to pass the quiz and to fill the feedback form. So just open up the quiz right now. You can fill the feedback form later on, but just make sure to fill the quiz right now because it has only 20 minutes.
Ask for the quiz link again. I'm just sending.
Yeah, I've sent it.
Okay, I sent again.
Okay, everyone, the time for the quiz has ended, and I hope all of you would have filled that quiz. And there is a feedback form as well in the flyer that has been sent to you via an email. You kindly fill that form as well. It has the questions regarding how was the webinar, and there is one important question in the end as well. So what type of activities, projects, and webinars you expect from the IADS in the future? If you have any idea, you can just fill that form and let us know. So I hope this session was a great session and all of you have enjoyed, and I hope that the speaker has answered most of the queries that you have in your mind. So thank you so much, everyone. It's the time for the next session, so we will be ending.
I guess that's all okay.
Yeah.
Is there any question?
No, there isn't any question from me. So we will be ending the session. Thank you, Anga. I hope you would have enjoyed the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and sorry for the inconveniences that happened. We hope that you can understand. Thank you so much.